So, Kira, what'd you think about your last Interval International trade? How come you didn't get what you want? Well, see, what happened was I wanted to go to the dog festival. It's at a certain time of the year in the summer, and friggin' Orlando, but apparently every other kid's going there, and I didn't get shit for a trade. Well, you probably didn't do it right, Akira, as most people don't. So, yeah, well, the stupid system doesn't work the way I'd like to, where you just go online and book whatever room you want when you want. I paid $30,000 for this thing from Ed Lopez, who promised me I could get in where I wanted, when I wanted. Yep, I know, Cake. I know, Kira. What's up, everybody? Tony VT at Timeshare Simplified. We're gonna do another short video on the trading process. I had a question come up today with one of my owners, and he's like, I never get what I want through Interval, and I hate it. He's like, and you're telling me it works good? And he's been an owner for like 15 years with Marriott. And I tried to tell him, you know, most people, a lot of times you can't get what you want in Interval or RCI, because especially like he was like trying to go, he said, when his kids were younger and he had to go when they were out of school, you know, major holidays, and he likes to go like New Year's, like all the regular dates that are the most expensive and hardest to get. So I was trying to explain to him, yeah, trading does, you know, kind of, I don't know, so it's not ideal. It doesn't work exactly. I don't know if you've watched any of the other videos I've done, but it doesn't work exactly like you want. So one of the big things, if you're gonna try to trade when the kids are out of school or for major holidays, the first step that most people miss, even people that I tell this to over and over again, still don't get it. When you trade, trading's like baseball cards. You have to give up something to get something. So you can't trade even though you might own Red Time or a Good Time in Branson, Missouri or whatever, you can't trade that to like Hawaii at Christmas. You just can't. So you really, before the main part to getting what you want, if you're trying to go when the kids are out of school for prime times, you're trying to go for major holidays, or you're trying to book things more at the last minute, the very first step you got to get the right week and deposit it 1 year in advance. If you don't do that, then it's pretty much impossible to get something good in the first place. So that's the first step most people make. So the first thing you got to do, if you're in Interval, go to your resort that you own. Now, if you own a point system, you can skip this first step, because basically when you own a point system, they basically give you the trading power of a New Year's week in Lake Tahoe or Las Vegas or wherever as your trading power. So you have what's called unsurpassed trading ability when you own a point system, like a Worldmark or Wyndham or Hilton or Disney or dog. What is this dog? What are you doing? She's like, I'm still pissed about my timeshare trade. Nice balmy day in Nashville. It was 70 yesterday, now it's 45. Anyways, so you got to get the good week to trade. So go to Interval or RCI, pull up your resort, and there's a thing called the Travel Demand Index on the side. And you click on that and pull it up. And the first thing you got to do is find out the best week you have access to. So if you own weeks, like if you're a Marriott owner and you still own some weeks the old way, or if you're, let's see, you know, there's a lot of timeshare resorts that aren't major developers. So if you own weeks the old way, you got to go to the Interval system, pull up the Travel Demand Index, and find the weeks that are farthest to the right. So if you look at the bottom of the Travel Demand Index, there's a scale from 0 to 150 at the bottom, and it's 1 to 52. So, you know, 1 is week 1, which would be like January 1st through the 7th, and week 2, January 8th through the 15th, so on and so forth. So on the left side's 1 through 52. On the bottom is 0 to 150. And then all the little blue dots on there represent how much trading value that week is worth. So the first thing you got to do, well, actually, no, the first thing you got to do, Google what season you own at your resort. So say you own Marriott Grand Vista, in Orlando. So first thing you do is Google Marriott Grand Vista. Oh, you're just not with it today, are you? So you Google Marriott Grand Vista and know what season you own. So if you own a platinum season or a gold season or a silver season, you got to know what season you own. Then when you pull up the weeks chart, it'll show you silver, platinum, whatever season. And then it'll show you the weeks numbers that you're allowed to book during that season. So the first thing you need to do is know what weeks you can book, okay? So like say you're doing a platinum week in Orlando and you can book weeks 22 through 30, which is all the summer weeks. And then you can book like weeks 8 through 12, which say is around March through April, okay? So now you know which weeks you have access to and write those down. So you're like, okay, it says here I can book weeks 8 through 14 and then weeks 22 through 35, okay? Now that you know that information, now just have Interval open on another tab, go over to Interval, and then you have your resort pulled up in the travel demand index, see which one of those blue dots goes furthest to the right. And because when you trade, trading's like baseball cards. You have to have something good to give up to get what you want. So you can't trade a Hyundai for a Mercedes, so to speak. You have to have a Mercedes to get a Mercedes car. You know, does that make sense? So a lot of people think, oh, I own a red week in Branson, I want to just trade to a red week in Hawaii. And it doesn't work that way. So that's probably what your salesman told you, but it doesn't work like that. Because trust me, I've told people the wrong information too when I sold it 20 years ago. Because I didn't know it worked like that either. All they taught us in training was a red week traded for a red time. But it does not work like that. Even RCI got sued for $300 million because people thought their red week in Hot Springs, Arkansas traded for a red week in Hawaii. And it did not. It did not. Now, RCI has a system now. You give them your week in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and they'll be like, okay, your week's worth 17 points or 20 points. You want to go to the Disney in Hawaii, 2-bedroom, that's 60 points. So it would take 4 of your Hot Springs, Arkansas weeks to get that one Hawaii Disney week. Well, I guess Disney's not an RCI anymore, but it used to be. But anyway, so it would take 4 of your weeks. And before, they never told you that because your Hawaii's red time and your Hot Springs, Arkansas week you bought might be red time. But yeah, they would just say it's not available. And then when you would go search for stuff, you didn't have enough power to search for anything. So nothing would come up, as you probably found out if you tried to trade. So first thing you need to do is find out which week's the best. So like, it's tricky, even though, say I'm using the Marriott Orlando as an example, there's really like only one good week to trade out of there. And I think that was the summer week, like maybe 4th of July, and then Christmas and New Year's. And those were like the only really 2 good trading weeks out of Orlando. Like the Marriott Grand Chateau in Las Vegas, even though Vegas is super popular, the only way you could get like a Hawaii week or Myrtle Beach or Aruba or Virgin Islands at the good times of the year or any of the ski resort destinations, there's only, my voice cracked like a teenage girl, but there's only like 3 good weeks to book in Las Vegas, and that's ironically the end of October and then the New Year's. It's like the only good trading weeks out of the Marriott Las Vegas property if you want to get somewhere during a major holiday, or Newport Beach in the summer, or Lake Tahoe in the winter, or whatever. So that's why it's very important, because if you don't do that first step and deposit it right away, like more than 10 months in advance, then it drops your trading power, and you don't even have enough trading power to get into these places, even if you do a search for them. They'll just put you on the search list and be like, oh, sorry, it didn't come up for 8 months. This dog keeps tangling me up.
So very, very important to do step one, because that's going to be the determining factor on if you get what you want or not. I'm at the firehouse here. Hopefully there's no major fire. So, okay, so you got to find that week that you have access to. Go over to the chart, see which week is the best. And then you're like, oh, this Marriott Grand Vista, the only good week is week 26. Okay. So now here's the other tricky part. It's like right now I'm filming this at the end of February. And if that week 26 is in July, well, first off, you probably won't even be able to book it because it's probably already booked out. Secondly, even if you can book it and you deposit it right now, it's only 6 months till check-in. So they're going to automatically lower your trading power. So instead of getting 150 points of trading power, now they'll give you 135 or whatever. And then you're like, oh, I want to go when the kids are out of school to the Marriott Newport Beach, or we want to go to Aruba in January, or we want to go on a ski trip this year to Lake Tahoe in February. Well, if you book that week now 6 months in advance and deposit it, you won't have enough trading power to do that. So you need to know what week you have access to, and then any year you even think you're going to trade, and a lot of people don't know, you can trade back into your own resort. I trade back into my own resorts all the time. I think in one of my videos I posted all my trades, and I'll trade my studio in Lake Tahoe Timber Lodge to a 2-bedroom at the Marriott Timber Lodge. But you got to book it a year in advance. Then immediately, right when you book it, deposit it with Interval or RCI, because then you have 3 years to go on your trip wherever you want to go. So you can go anytime. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to go in the summer. I want to go in the winter. Well, the week you book to trade, that's not when you have to go. You can go on your trip anytime the year before or up to 2 years after that date. Okay, so you have a 3-year window to go. Okay, now, once you've done that, so make sure you found the week you can trade, or found the week you own. Find the best. You only have to do this once too, because once you know the best week to trade, you just pick the same week every year, because it doesn't change. As long as that bubble on Interval's blue, it's the same value every year. Now, sometimes in Interval, to make it even more confusing, sometimes they have like, I think it's like yellow and orange boxes or something. So sometimes different weeks are ranked differently on different years. So like spring break might fall on week 14 one year, and they'll give you a higher trading power, but on the next year it's worth 150 trading power, but next year the orange dot is worth less. It's only worth like 120 trading power. So you got to be careful of that. But if it's a blue dot, especially on Interval, then it's the same every year. So you just have to pick that one week, that one time. Then put a note in your phone, your Palm Pilot, or your calendar, if you're old school, however you do it. Every year, call, book that week for the next year. Immediately deposit that with Interval. Now you know you have unlimited trading power. You have 150 point trading week. So now you know you can go wherever it is you want to go. All right. So do that every year, deposit that. Now you don't have to worry about where you want to go. Now you know you have your Mercedes trading card or your Babe Ruth baseball card. So you can go wherever the heck you want, when you want. Now, here's the next part, the second biggest part. Especially if you're gonna go like in the summer when the kids are out of school, or you're gonna go on a ski trip, or you're gonna wanna try to get New Year's or whatever. The broader you can be on any one of the parameters, the faster you can get what you want. So say you're like, well, my kids are out of school and one plays football and one does dance. So the only time I can go is the month of July. Okay, well, if you're that narrow and that specific, it's probably the easiest thing to do would be just own with a point system like a Wyndham or Marriott, and then you could book those specific times easier. But if you're not in that situation and you can trade it, you want to trade it, then try to be as broad as possible. So you're like, if we can only go in July, then say, hey, when you put in your interval request, you say, hey, we'll go anytime between July 2nd and July 25th. And you can pick up to a 9-month time period. Okay, in this case, you'd only pick, obviously, the month of July. And then you can pick up to 48 different resorts. So say you're like, oh, well, we just want to go to Orlando. Okay, well, Marriott has like 6 properties there. So pick all 6 properties at Marriott and the whole month of July, okay? But the broader you can be, the faster you'll get what you want. So if you're like, well, I'll stay at any of these 6 Marriott, and then I'll stay at any of these 2 Hyatt or any of these 3, Westin properties, they're all really nice. So pick 8 properties and then that 1 month. And the more you do that, the faster you'll get what you want. And then trust me, it has like a 97% success rate if you do it like that. But if you deposit that week and then you just go on interval or RCI and go, well, let me see what's available for the month of July, nothing good is going to pop up, because the likelihood of you, this dog's killing me, the likelihood of you going online and finding the exact week you want at the exact place you want at the time that it comes of it. Because remember, interval and RCI, they don't own anything. The only thing they do is match up people's weeks. So the likelihood of the exact week you want being put in their system without somebody being on the waiting list for it is virtually impossible, especially if you want to get, the nicer properties. So now that doesn't mean you can't get it. The statistics are something like 97% of the time they get you what you want within a month of you asking for it. So you just have to be a little patient and put in your request. Okay, I'll go to, let's say you're like, well, I only want to go to these 3 Marriott properties. Okay, we'll just say I'll go to any of these 3 and we'll go anytime in July. Or ideally, if you could be like, we can go anytime between June 15th and August 15th. The broader any of the parameters are, the faster you'll get what you want. So try to pick as many resorts as possible. And if you only like the nice ones, like the owner today is like, well, all the interval properties are not nice compared to Marriott. Well, yeah, I get that, but they still have Westin. Now they have Disney, Hyatt, Shell. Well, I don't know about Shell. Some of them are good. Sorry, kind of four-wheeling here. Hyatt. I stay with the ones that have like a little flower symbol with 2 hands around it. Those are usually the best. Those are like 5-star or whatever they call it. So do that. I hope I didn't make that too confusing. It's a little bit confusing, but if you get it, it's easy. And every time I've done it that way, typically within 2 or 3 days, they'll email me a confirmation letter, because it's all ran by computers now. So if you put in a request for any of these 6 Marriotts in a 2-bedroom in Orlando anytime in July, and you've given them your Mercedes Babe Ruth baseball card week, 9 times out of 10, within 3 weeks of you asking for it, they will email you a confirmation letter with exactly what you want. Okay? It's just, you can't just go online and search for what you want. That's a horrible way to do it, and you'll never find anything good. Not never, but I'd say 99% of the time. But if you do it the request way, the computer is searching 24 hours a day. So when Miss Myrtle, who bought it in 1986, finally gets around to depositing it, and she doesn't know any of this stuff, and she's like, oh shit, I forgot my week in Orlando, and she bought when her kids were in school, and now her kids are in their 40s, and she deposits that week, the computer will just spit out the confirmation letter to you. But the likelihood of it going on the intervals website, and then what are you going to go do? Search every day for 10 hours a day and keep refreshing the screen. So you just put it on the request list and know you will get it. And many people say, well, I've done that before, but I guarantee you, you didn't do step 1 right. And 9 times out of 10, maybe you did. This guy said he did, but usually when people say that, every time I've checked, they were not correct. I just had another guy, because my company will do this process for you for currently it's like 80 bucks. I know there's all these fees with trading already associated, but it's, you know, it's a little bit of a process, but we have a 90, we've never not gotten one for somebody. And even the guy we've done this for, he's like, no, I booked the good week, but he booked it only 6 months in advance. So he's going to lose his trading power, and he has a request in for a really tough week. And I told him that in the future, you can't do that because they lower your trading power if it's not 12 months in advance, which means you're not going to get a 2 or 3 bedroom in Hilton Head at a Marriott in the summer, which is 150 power. If you lose any trading power, they will not give it to you. So even if it comes up, they will not give it to you. That's just how their system works, because they make money every time somebody trades. So they only want the good weeks, because the good weeks spawns multiple trades. So one good week could spawn them 10 or 15 trades. So it makes them, you know, $10,000 or $15,000. Where if you trade your Hot Springs, Arkansas week, no offense to Hot Springs, Arkansas, I actually heard it's a nice place, but just as an example, they don't make as much money off that. Okay, well, I hope that helps. Put in the comments if you have any questions and we can answer them for you. All right, Kicker, you gonna do a better trade this time? Okay, hey, look alive, you're on video, okay? All right, Kira's out. She's gotta go get her snack time. All right, peace out, love you guys.